Okay, wrong.
Okay. Everybody, I'd like to call to order the meeting of McCandless Town Council for April 25th, 2022. Agenda, Council Member Zachary to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We start with our culture and how we conduct these meetings. As everyone who's been here before, we'll work together to better our town. We all have an equal voice. We may disagree, but we will do so with civility and respect, because in the end, we are all neighbors. A few announcements here. We are looking, since we've expanded our personnel board for applications, they'll go to the McCandless Town website. They'll be due May 17th. We have an activities event, Treasure in the Trunk, here at Town Hall on May 21st. We had 2 successful cleanup days. Let me get all the data here. Over the 2 days, we had 35 volunteers on the first day and 40 on the second day. So we had 75 volunteers from our community come and pick up trash. And they picked up 260 bags of trash. So I call that good and bad. We have 260, but good.
Can I
Yes.
ask a question? So are all the bags picked up? Because on my way here tonight, there's one that's blown open on the side of the road on Ingemar.
I think that was just closed because I drove by it too. I think that
was
was
it?
somebody lost their.
Okay.
clothing.
Yeah, I saw that tonight too. It
Okay.
wasn't there.
It wasn't, okay, good to know.
I'll pick it up on the way home.
And real quick, President, I just would like to say thank you to the Police and Public Works for helping out. I did the section of 19 around Pine Creek Hill, and thank God the police were there, because it is, a very
Treacherous.
dangerous section. So thank you, thank them.
Very good. Let's see, the county and the city are collecting hygiene kits for Ukraine. I know when I walked in, we have a checklist. Is it on the door? And we have a collection site here.
Yes.
So any resident that wants to stop by and drop off that.
And McCandless is the only collection site in the North Hills, as far as we know.
Okay, very good.
It's been busy.
We are redesigning our website and would like public comment. You could do that if you go to our McCandless and Me page, which is listed here, mccandlessandme.com. A few other items. The Heritage Center has a golf outing on May 20th. That's on the town website if anyone's interested in supporting that event with a sponsorship or playing in it. Go to the website. I think 2 days from now, the Heritage Center has the history of North Park speaker. So if that interests you, more info could be found on the McCandless website. And then lastly, we will be having executive session at the end of this meeting to discuss litigation, but no action will be taken, as we already know. So moving on, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make public comment on any of the agenda items we have? And anyone online? Okay, no one online. Very good. Moving on. Meeting minutes, those were distributed in everyone's packets. I assume everyone got time to look through those. Does anybody have any comments or revisions that need to be made? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the April 11th
I'll make that motion.
meeting? Mr. Casey, second, Dr. Rampa. Everyone in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Now reports of the committees. Mr. Casey, if you could take us through administration and finance, please.
I'd be happy to. Everyone should have received the checklisting number 3 in their packet. Does anybody have any questions?
Good evening.
If there's no questions, then I'd like to make a motion to approve checklisting number 3 dated March 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2022, totaling $1,638,910.20 as submitted to each member of council and posted on the bulletin board and the town website.
Second.
Second, Mr. Singer. Do we need comment on that? Any public comment, either here or online? No. Okay. Everyone in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Casey.
Next, hopefully everybody had an opportunity to review the monthly financial summary and dashboard report. Are there any questions?
As a general statement, the town is performing better than expected for this time of year for revenues as well as expenditures. We're slightly higher with snow and ice control, but of course that'll taper off over the rest of the year. As a housekeeping item, we have, as part of this week's duties, we have to file the first time for the ARPA funds to Treasury as part of the grant annual filing. We have received numerous recommendations from Treasury, from our auditors, Narduzzel, as well as every training session that Bob and I have participated in the last 2 or 3 weeks to file under revenue recovery. This will allow us to continue to use the funds as designated in the 22 budget for the 5-year term. It simplifies some of the grant processes going forward. What it'll require is a slight housekeeping budget amendment that'll occur in the near future that will just pass that money all through the general fund to CIP. There will be no change at this time for what we expect to spend it on, but to keep it consistent with the grant reporting, I would recommend, as well as the auditors do, to do that budget amendment. So again, strictly a housekeeping item, not changing anything as proposed in the 22 budget, but because we received less than 10 million, we are allowed to report it all as revenue recovery to simplify costs going forward.
And all that money has been accounted for. So, I mean, budgeted.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
For those in the audience or online,
Yes.
ARPA stands for
American Recovery Rescue, American Rescue Plan. Yes, there you
and
go.
that's federal funds that we received
Yes.
sort of as a COVID
Yes, we received.
stimulus, whatever we want to.
Yes, we received the first grant disbursement in June of 2021. We'll receive the second half of that disbursement in 22. And it is being reported on the front dashboard cover to show you where that money is currently and what's expected to come in going forward. And again, that was part of the budget presentation for 22. And it showed how we anticipate spending that money for stormwater projects as well as other one-time purchases for equipment and vehicles. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Nice job. Thank you. Next, moving on to liaison reports, the McCandless Industrial Development Authority, Dr. Ropa.
We haven't had a meeting this month, but it's scheduled for this Wednesday, the 27th at 4:30.
Thank you. The North Hills Council of Governments,
Same thing. We meet quarterly, no April meeting. Our next meeting is May 19th.
report of our junior councilman. He did submit it in our packet, so you can review it there. Any public comment?
I just had a question. When is Gannon's term? Like, he seems to be graduating and moving on, but how was that?
His term will expire in, is it May or June?
Does June.
I think
Yeah,
Okay.
when the
It
school
runs
year
with
is
the
out.
school.
Mhm. So we probably should post for next year while the kids are still in school.
Next is the report of the Planning and Zoning Committee. Zachary?
Staff report?
We got it. Let's
We
close.
still have We to didn't do have a-
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll take it from here, Mr. Casey. So
Okay.
if anybody has any public comment on any administrative and finance committee items, it's here in the audience. And online? No, okay, very good. Okay, Ms. Zachary, can you lead us through the planning and zoning committee report?
Can you please lead us through the staff report?
Sure. So the only official action item that was on the monthly report from the last planning commission meeting was a continued review of the Marwa property, also known as the Ridge subdivision. The planning commission actually decided to table that because they wanted further information about what a sidewalk might look like, an external sidewalk, as you call it, outside of the subdivision plan, but still abutting one of the boundaries of the property. That would be along the Pine Creek Hill section of Route 19. So the developer is going to provide some further information at our upcoming planning commission meeting, which is going to be next Tuesday. So not a vote on that yet. That's not from the council just yet, but they will probably move on from the planning commission one way or another after the meeting next week. Also, this is the second month that we have had the zoning and Saudo ordinance modernization project as a regular item on the monthly report. So I've actually got some pretty good stuff going on for that this month. As of late Thursday, we launched our first participant activity online for that project called Preserve, Enhance, Change. Yeah, got the 3 this time. Preserve, Enhance, Change. So basically you have color-coded pins where people can go on the website and just drop a pin on the map wherever they would like to preserve, or that could be green space, or I already like what's going on here, let's not do anything to it. It doesn't have to be about developing or not developing, just simply I like what's going on here. Enhance, which is it's like a little TLC. This could be just right, we're on the right track. Or change, which is kind of self-explanatory. This isn't maybe the direction that the user would like to see the canvas going in that particular place. And so that's going to be open until the end of May. The consultants at Michael Baker are going to be using that to sort of inform the content of our public open house meeting that we're going to be having. Exact date, TBD, based on just confirming, making sure everyone's available. But probably late June is when we're looking at for that. So we're going to be sending out, notification that activity is live in the McNeil newsletter that comes out at the end of this week. And we also discussed last week with the consultants a postcard mailer that we would send to everybody, because we're having pretty good reach between, the newsletter and Facebook and everything. We've gotten several hundred hits that bumped up, but that's not everybody. So we're going to try and hit everyone and let them know that the open house is coming up as well. So, and there's also a new blog post about zoning and how it interacts with comprehensive plan. So we've got a lot of good stuff on there. Any questions?
Yes, RJ, I have a question. On the online system with the mapping, is there a way for anonymous?
Yes,
comments?
yeah,
Okay.
we actually, so you have to put like a name, but it doesn't have to identify you, and we aren't collecting email,
Okay.
At least for our purposes. It may email the person a notification that their PIN showed up, but we actually unlocked all of the zoning activities to non-registered participants as well.
Okay, I'm just, you log on and you see everyone's names, a lot
Yeah.
of people put their own names. I worry about the hesitation of others wanting to put comments down on a map
Right.
where anyone in the community or online can see. Is there actually a way we might be able to take away their names altogether? Just to
No,
promote
however,
that?
if anyone is worried about that, I encourage you to put in a non 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we will never know.
Yeah,
So, I mean, no, there's not a way to disable, because you have to tie to a user notification so they can know whether their PIN was posted, or haven't had this happen yet. But if there was content moderation required for inappropriate comments, so
Sure.
I
I just didn't know if there was a way to, still have their pin, still have all the data in the background, but just remove the name simply from showing on the map.
no.
Okay. I worry it's going to discourage people from posting if it's a controversial thing. That's all.
If anyone is coming to you with concerns that they don't want to express, publicly anything, they're certainly welcome to submit an anonymous comment
Okay.
directly to us. We'll include anything like that in the consultant's information for review.
Okay.
This is going to be in our McMail.
Yes, we're going to be putting that, as well as the website user survey that is running on the different.
So
activity
do
page.
we need, postcards are so expensive. Do
Um,
we need to do a mailer if it's good? Because our McMail goes to I'm talking about the crier. Excuse me, I misspoke. I misspoke.
see. Okay, yeah.
sorry.
So,
So is it going to be in the crier?
talking with our communications officer, there's not going to be enough turnaround time for them to get this out, because they need at least 3 weeks to go to print, plus the rest of the content has to be finalized. So the postcard mailer is what we came up with, so that everybody that's maybe not subscribed to the McNeil newsletter could be able to, see that that's out
I was
there.
meaning the crier, because
Right.
that goes to every home
Right,
already.
yeah.
So that would have really been good to have been in there. We knew we were going to do this, because that,
Well,
those mailers are so
so
expensive.
the prior, from what I understand, we dropped down to just one issue a year, starting with the pandemic, and that's, I guess, been going out close to the fall. I mean, I'm not involved in the design of that, but that's just what was conveyed to me, so.
Did we change that?
Well, I think change it out of necessity, but we're at that point of the year now where it would be hard to get two out. I mean, we still can, but we want to make sure that we would have enough content, but we do not have enough time. to
For the
make-
full issue, that's what he had said, at least,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to talk to John because I was out, but to see if we could do a reduced version to get it out more quickly.
Right. I mean, if for this activity in particular, not just the open house, because we were closing this at the end of May, we would have to go to print this week if we'd want people to get it in time to see this activity. But again, the open house, we're targeting more for the end of June. So if we did do a truncated one and got it out very quickly, there might be enough lead time for people to plan. Postcard was kind of a stopgap for that.
Is this limited to residents of our municipality?
Well,
The
so
comments.
not the map activity, because we would not be able to allow unregistered or anonymous participation if we had to verify that people were residents. So we thought that it was best, at least for this.
That kind of leads to my
open up.
next point. If people could have a site they could go register on and they could be given an ID, then they would have an ID that isn't recognized by anybody, but it would be the ID on that map. But yet you would have the registration number, so you would understand whether they're a resident or not. You follow me?
I do. I mean, that's not a functionality that we'd have to piece together a couple different things if that's.
Just a thought. Just
something
want you
we're
to
looking
consider that.
for.
Because I think it should be limited to town residents. And I think it should be anonymous. And I think you can do it in a fairly simple.
So my suggestion for resident versus not, participation in this particular case is we do have a lot of stakeholders that aren't residents when it comes to this process, because there are people that have developed here or people that own commercial property. Now that you might say that's a taxpayer in that case, but they wouldn't be a resident.
That'd be fine. They could be in a red color
So,
and our residents could be in black.
yeah, I mean, I would have to research a system that
Just throwing
trying
it
to
out there.
balance the, the ease of accessibility versus an additional process like that. Maybe that's something that we could talk more about, but it sounds like maybe we've got a desire for no identification
Yeah,
participation as well.
you're in a double-edged sword there because it's.
Well, it is no.
You want to limit outside influence, but you also want to encourage participation. And when you have a registration, we went through this with the steering plan. The more restrictive you make it, the harder it is to direct people in to participate.
It's not really restrictive because it's hidden.
Yeah.
I know, but to make them register, people don't like to register.
Yeah,
for
but I've
things.
got a good idea. So if they register, at least we have their contact information, so we can start, like, if they want to be on a mailing list, if there's any emergencies or anything, the town events coming up, we can do like an email blast. We have all their emails collected in this way, so.
Well, so that's
Kinda
when
like
we
it.
were locking the participant activities to the registered users only. That was actually exactly what we were going for, because we were able to develop a decent mailing list. We've got a few hundred users on this. And so when they sign up, they have a bunch of different policy areas that they can choose, like, land use, for example, in this long-term planning, public safety, public information. So we were able to take that information, just like you were saying, and send a blast out to everybody that signed up, that, interested in land use. We sent a newsletter directly to them, letting them know that, this activity was available. But I think just a desire for broader opportunity for participation led us to not lock this one to users only, but we can do that with the platform right now.
The problem with that is, of a township with a population of 28,000, the website only has a registered user base of 370. So it's not enough of a, participation for the locked users to get a good use. I really think you can't limit it to that. I agree
Yeah.
with the open. I just wish there was a way to secure it to residents only. And like I said, we went through this with steering committee for the implementable comprehensive plan. This was a hard process to get through there.
Well, why don't you, when you send out a card, say, here's your code?
Well, I suppose we would have to know the exact number of residents in each home and generate that many codes on each individual.
Just put
postcard
one
to
for
do that.
household and have, if they want more, contact us.
We'll
Just a
take a look
thought.
at that. If you have any recommendations for platforms that have that functionality, I'd be
We'll
happy to
we'll
take a
talk.
look.
Yeah.
Anything else?
One other question on your director's report, you speak of the task force. Is there a way we can get more detail about that? Could we get is there an agenda or meeting minutes? Is that possible? Something we could be provided more than just a brief summary?
Yeah, so it's not a voting committee, so there aren't meeting minutes, but there are
Sure.
general takeaways and, sort of project status reports, which I believe I know that we're distributing them to the planning commission. I believe we've sent at least one over to council in previous communication, maybe the March one.
I think the more information in light of previous meetings, the more information that we could take from this as council as whole and as public would be appreciated.
Would maybe if Ms. Coonan or Ms. Zachary would be willing to share anything since they're on the task force?
You wrote summary already, correct? I mean, didn't
Yeah,
you?
I did it.
I mean, you're sending it to the planning commission. And I had asked you to
Yeah.
please send it to council too. Did council get it?
I think we distributed that the last time that
Okay,
we talked about
okay.
it. We'll double check and make sure you're up to date on
Yeah,
that.
if not, then we will.
Yeah.
We will get it. We just have listing to the council and that
Yeah, we
Right.
definitely sent the March one.
status report.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, all I'm getting is on the director's report, a brief.
No, there was
Summary.
a-
Yeah, there was another
Baker
report that I
prepared-
asked RJ to send to
Yeah,
council
Baker
prepared-
specifically.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. That's all.
And I would like to strongly encourage the town. I'm looking at our numbers here, our Facebook page, 4,500, McMill, 4,100. We have 29,000 members in this community. We are engaged in a very small number of people, and that mailer goes to every single place. I feel like we could have filled this spring mailer with this, as well as our deer management and getting people to, having rip outs in there, tear outs in there that people can send back. So I absolutely feel like we can generate enough information, and that is our largest outreach to citizens. So I personally, I know it's expensive, but these mailers could go a long way toward that, because the postage is what kills you.
Yes.
Maybe we could look at upgrading sort of the stopgap one that we talked about so that we throw all of our current engagement activities on there, maybe expand it to a one page or something like that.
Like I said, I didn't know that had been changed. So I've been telling everybody, oh, hurry up and get your information in so we can get that out in the spring prior. Thank you.
I had a question about, is it, which, if we delay the publication, could you get all your info in there, or do you need to get your info out to hit another meeting date?
Well, yeah,
What's
so the issue is that we'd like to give people at least, 2-3 weeks, if not more, to plan for the open house meeting date.
Mhm.
And so from what I understand, our communications officer told me that, from the day that you send it to the printer, it's basically 3 weeks turnaround time minimum before it hits a mailbox. So if we're looking at late June, and of course, that includes like getting quotes and figuring out which vendor he's going with. I think that that's all part of the process as well. I think that if we did something larger, if we're specifically trying to promote this project and this public engagement opportunity, because of course the open house it's going to be here, right here, in person, where people are going to be able to do a lot of the stuff you can also do online. I think we'd run the risk of not getting that out as timely so that people aren't able to plan to make sure to get down here. So that's kind of why I'd recommend focusing on getting, a smaller mailer out right now.
What's the problem with having a delay in the timeline? I mean, we're talking about the zoning of the town. I have concerns about we're rushing it through to meet a timeline. But if we have no participation and feedback from the residents, what good is the plan at the end? Is there a problem with delaying it the 3 weeks necessary?
You mean the actual meeting date? I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't recommend it, in that there are quite a few other opportunities. Like, this is not going to be when we close the book and they go off and write it and then you kind of see what comes out. this is really, this open house meeting is intended to help inform and make sure that they're going in the right direction. So really the bulk of the project can't take off until we have the opportunity to get this kind of feedback, to do charrettes, which are, for those of you that, don't know the jargon, it's when you pull the maps out and you draw on them with markers and sticky notes and all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, to keep the project relatively on schedule and being mindful of the consultant's time, I think that late June is probably as late as we'd want to run it for at least the open house meeting.
What's the anticipated cost of a mailing?
Well, I don't know what vendor we use here because that's not my department, but in my prior experience, when I've done bulk mailings and things like that, I've spent maybe, 3,000-4,000 on postage and printing and everything. Now, again, my experience is coming from a community that's much smaller than McCandless, but
The
Do you have a-
postage alone's around 5,000.
Okay.
yeah.
For a postcard.
Okay, well, that's not unsurmountable.
And then you have several thousand. of print.
So maybe probably closer to 8 to 10 here. Would you think that's accurate?
It's about 8,000, 8,000 to 9,000 for the cries.
Oh, for the crier. Okay,
Yeah.
so the printing cost might be
Yeah, the printing
Reduced.
cost for a postcard would be
okay.
substantial.
I mean, in light of the fact this is an awfully big project, I agree, you have to do the mailing.
I think we just want to blanket everything that we can so that, kind of everybody, we can meet them where we're at with opportunities to participate. So that was kind of just where that idea came from.
We'll take all of this and get back with John and see if we can make adjustments to what we do.
I can't comment enough on how important communication
Amen.
is with this.
Amen.
With council, with the planning commission. People are nervous when things change, especially big things. We have got to communicate everywhere. We have got to do it, whatever that takes.
Good.
That was pretty much everything on the planning commission. Anything from the zoning hearing board? Okay. Is there any public comment or additional council comment? Public present or online? Hearing none?
Thank you, Ms. Zachary. Now we'll move on to the report of the Recreation Committee. Ms. Schweiker.
Okay, we have the liaison reports. First up is the Activities Advisory Committee meeting. You guys have the notes from the past meeting. Our next one's next week. I would like to ask Ralph to come forward and to speak about his Eagle Scout project that's coming up.
Hi, my name is Ralph Abdelmasih. I am a Boy Scout for Troop 935, situated at St. John and Paul in, I think it's Wickley. I am going to be cleaning up and building a rain garden at Duncan Heights Cemetery located on Duncan Avenue. I plan for the cleanup to be on April 30th and to build the rain garden on a date between late May, early June. And I was wondering if the council would be, and township as a whole would be willing to donate any material towards the project, mainly the rain garden.
What specifically are you?
Mostly like dirt or flowers.
We have lots of dirt.
So I've met with this young gentleman and reviewed his project on a personal level, gave him some suggestions and a materials list. It consists of some basic sands, some basic topsoils and compost, in limited quantities, 1 yard, 2 yard maximum, things to that effect. It's a project that benefits the area. It could be of use if council is interested in that.
So our road crews would truck the material.
I would
there and-
assume Public Works would help provide those materials if it's the consensus of council and help deliver it. You know, if that's not the case, even if they would be willing to provide the materials, myself would deliver it there one way or another. Either way, you know, I'll personally be making sure to help this young man.
I have a truck too. I'll be happy to help. So
I do want to say that this is along a stream bed, and if with our town's current focus on stormwater management, it's one of these things that every little step that we take as a community is helping the community as a whole. So this is not going to benefit just one small section, but those that are downstream as well. So I do ask for your support as well.
I guess the nod kind of thing.
yeah,
I was going to say, this is the perfect thing to feature in all of our social media in the crier, about every little thing that every individual does makes a difference in our community. I think this would be a great feature story all
Absolutely.
over our social media. Great example of a good citizen and how they're helping the community.
Thank you. Question I had is like, who owns property and
That
is Ralph allowed to build something on it?
there's really no ownership, so it just kind of falls under the township of McCann list, so.
We own it?
We don't own it.
There's no like true ownership of the property.
Yeah,
Is he allowed to do what he wants to do?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Don't ask anything else.
Is there anything else?
No, I think going forward, if it's all right with council, I'll work with Jeff Schuneman from Public Works to help coordinate it with the Eagle Scout, the future Eagle Scout.
So really, the head nod is some
We're
materials
gonna provide
that our road crew is going to provide, and either one of our gracious volunteers on council will truck it over to help Ralph and.
and we could get flowers from the fire department.
No, they're sold out.
Oh, they're sold out. Oh,
All right, just everyone,
that's good.
it's a head nod. This is
Yes,
a vote,
sold out
right?
one day.
This is a head nod.
Yes,
Okay,
right now.
head nods all the way there.
Yes,
Okay.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Good work.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next up, the Finance Development and Promotional Committee for the Heritage Center.
Thank you, and I thank President Taro for reminding everybody of the events coming up for the 5-year anniversary of the Heritage Center on May 20th and 21st. Still spots for the foursome for golf. It's going to be held at the par 3, so it's not a long day. It's a nice, short, brief outing where your skill level is not that important. And let's just have fun. And also there'll be events on that Saturday going on simultaneous with the Treasures in the Truck. So it should be a nice active morning here at Town Hall and on our whole surrounding grounds. Your report is in the council packet. And I do want to point out, it's not written in there, but I'm going to send you a copy. The Heritage Center Committee approved a new vision and mission, and I'm pretty happy with it because just in brief, the old vision talked about promoting history and more of a look at this is what we have. Where the new vision is talking about engagement, and I'm really happy to see the focus of the Heritage Center move on to engaging our citizens more, not just saying, come look at this. It's talking more about doing and learning and actively participating in the future.
I believe council approved the original mission statement, so
who wants
we
to
would,
approve this?
yeah,
Okay.
I believe that is
Okay.
how we did it
was not aware of that.
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll let them know that. I think you'll be happy with it. That's all, thank you.
Thanks. Do we have any public comments? Any online? No. Okay, this
Thank you,
concludes
Swag.
the recreation.
Moving on, next up, the town manager's report.
Just a couple things that I wanted to bring to your attention. I had mentioned in my report the work that the Army Corps is doing, the preparation they're doing for to develop scopes of work in the Westward Run watershed. Have been informed that there will be an upcoming meeting to further define that scope and review with the work that they have done. So that will be coming up shortly. There's no timetable just yet on the meeting.
Will area residents be allowed to participate?
This will be more internal. Those of us in McCandless, potentially Pine, since
Okay,
they're
good.
active.
That's really good.
And then we'll take it the next step to the resident.
Great.
We have a better idea of what
Great.
they're talking.
Thank you very much.
I mentioned the Devlin Park Tennis Court project. As you know, that we have not received any bids, but we're going back out to bid for that. We'll be opening bids in May and hopefully awarding in late May or early June. And then moving forward on that project, which is hopefully will be completed in September. On that, also wanted to highlight that the strategic solutions did meet with the McCandless Franklin Park Ambulance Authority last week as a kickoff for their planning work that they're doing. That meeting went well and things are already moving forward. That completes my report.
Town attorney's report.
My report was also part of the packet, and if there are any questions, anybody can reach out or we can chat at executive session for the meeting. That's the end of my report.
Okay, moving on to old business. We talked about how we're going to redistrict in town, and the suggestion was made to get the Democratic and Republican committee chair to see if they'd be interested or have a representative, and I would be the third. And we contacted them and they agreed to do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we have a meeting tentatively set up for late May,
Yes.
I think. So does that need to be public?
Yes,
Okay, so we need to-
So we'll advertise it.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Will you review with council before, or you're not allowed to, or?
the final map comes to council for approval. This is just a working group or whatever to make sure it balanced.
Per the charter,
Okay.
the working group draws the map, recommends it to the council, and then the council could accept it, reject it, redraw it, whatever you all want to do.
Okay.
So they're almost like the planning commission for drawing maps. So they'll make a recommendation and you all can decide.
Yeah, there's
There
a
is.
public hearing required.
Before there's a, correct.
Oh, okay. Public hearings first. Gotcha.
There'll be plenty of opportunity for public input and council input to the process.
Good.
Any other questions on that? Moving on, we started the year with no alternate liaisons, and I asked everyone's opinion, and the majority felt that wasn't quite working well. So that it was asked that I appoint alternate liaisons, and as everyone knows, the alternate liaison is really there if the liaison can't attend the meeting because they're out of town on vacation or have something else more pressing. So I'll go down the list. I have a copy in front of everybody. So I'm just going to say the alternates. The alternate for the firefighter steering committee is myself. The alternate for the personnel board, Mr. Casey. And so I also asked everybody if they had any preferences. Those preferences that I got back, I tried to fill. Some of them were doubled up, so I did my best based on what I know of you, your expertise, and everything, and to put you in the right sort of seat. So, okay, moving on. Personnel board, Mr. Casey will be the alternate. MTSA, myself will be the alternate. Ambulance authority, Ms. Clunan will be the alternate. Library, Dr. Rapa will be the alternate. EAC, Ms. Zachary will be the alternate. Technology, Mr. Casey, the alternate. Activities, Dr. Rapa. Heritage, Micah. Zoning Hearing Board, Ms. Zachary. Planning alternate, Mr. Singer. MIDA alternate, Mr. Singer. COG alternate, Mr. Swiger. and the chamber alternate. Ms. Coleman. I did ask staff to report to me if there are any conflicts, so that there weren't two meetings on one night or something. And I got reported back that there was no conflict, so I didn't have to really. I think it was okay. So now just moving forward, if you can't make the meeting as your liaison, just send it, you contact directly the alternate instead of sending an email out to council. So hopefully this will be a little tidier.
If you can't make it, you ask for somebody.
Call, you could ask me. Yeah. If the alternate can't make it, just shoot me an email and I'll fill in. Very good. Any questions about the alternate liaisons? Okay. The only other old business, I think Ms. Zachary asked for letters to be sent to all of the either the Democratic or Republican committee or each campaign about our signing ordinance. Do we know if that is in progress or?
It's in progress.
It's in progress. Okay.
With Mr. Singer's assistance, we got pointed in the right direction. So.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Any other old business that's not listed on here that anyone needed to bring up? No. Okay. Moving on, we have 2 bond reduction requests. Bob, you want to tee them up?
You've seen these in the past meetings. The first request is submitted by the Sisters of Divine Providence in regard to the construction of a new residential facility. The engineers have reviewed the request and approved a reduction in their bond of $1,051,692. They did that by way of letter dated April 14th, 2022, and this is approved work, site work that they have done that met our requirements and the plans submitted.
Thank you. Hearing that explanation, do we have a motion for bond reduction request for the sisters? Dr. Rocco.
I make a motion to approve the bond reduction request number 1 submitted by the Sisters of Divine Providence for their new residential facility project in the amount of $1,051,692 as recommended by the town engineers review letter dated April 14th, 2022.
Second.
Second.
Any comment? Okay. Any public comment on the bond reduction from anyone in the audience or anyone online? Okay. We have a motion. Everybody in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then the same one is similar for pole construction.
That's
There's anything
correct.
you need to add there?
Just again, engineers reviewed the request and made adjustments as necessary to the amount of $318,625.17. Had it down to.
I think there was 17 cents there. Floor is open for a motion. So. Excellent.
Move to approve bond reduction request number 1 submitted by Cole Construction Incorporated for the 8500 Thompson Run Road Apartments project in the amount of $318,625.17 as recommended by the town engineers review letter dated April 14, 2022.
Second, Ms. Swager. Public comment on the bond reduction? Anyone in the audience? No one online. Okay, we have a motion on the table. Everybody in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Carries. Okay, before we wind up, is there any public comment on non-agenda items by anyone? Very good. Motion to adjourn.
Turn to executive session.
Oh, to adjourn to executive session, excuse me, thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Picked up on
Oh, you scared me.
Thank you.
The gavel.